Hello, welcome to No Right, No Wrong. My name is CT, and this will be the first video episode. If you've been following the audio episode, we've been doing this for a minute. I'm here with Josh, a good friend of mine, and we're going to be talking about expectations. For me, it's going to be more of expectations for the show. But in general, we're going to be talking about expectations. Josh, you want to introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, for sure. I go by Josh Chijioke Okorie, full name, also known as JTK, Josh the Killer. So.
Yes, JTK. This will be the first episode. I'm excited about this journey and I got you here, but I wanted to use this opportunity to thank everyone that actually listened to the audio podcast. I also want to use this opportunity to say that I'm grateful coming up here to get into doing a video podcast with you. You were there in the audio sections, right?
We're talking about music.
Yeah, we did talk about music. We also did talk about cancel culture. I remember.
Yes, I remember.
So that's actually cool. So I'm excited getting into the video format. Thank you everyone that's actually watching or listening still in audio forms. I am genuinely grateful to every single one of them. I'm going to start off by specifically thanking as many people as I can remember that were on the audio podcast. I'm going to start with a few names. If I forget any names, pardon me, it's freestyle. I didn't really come ready for it, so but I'm going to read off a few names. I want to thank the following people. I want to thank Josh, he's here with me.
Yes.
I want to thank Albert, West, Ibis, Ibidabo. I want to thank Shower, Rumbi, Fadzi, Malcolm, Chimex, Pastor Anthony, and also I want to thank Arinze. I also want to thank, who else am I missing? I don't want to leave out anyone. Ebube as well, Mr. Sam. I want to appreciate you for coming on the podcast as well. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anyone. I'm going to go back through this list a little bit. Forgive me, just to make sure I got everyone. I want to thank Josh, Albert, IBs, Arinze, Fadzi, Pastor Anthony, Shawa, Rumbi, Malcolm, Chimex, Ebube, as well for being on the audio podcast. If I forgot anyone, sorry about that, but I do appreciate everyone that has supported me here. Also, so let's get right into it. So for this first episode, I want to talk about expectations. I think it's a very interesting topic to me in general to talk about expectations. One, I'm going to go through a little bit about my expectations for the podcast for No Right, No Wrong. We've talked about this. We've gone through it, right? But I'm going to quickly go through that, and we're going to talk about expectations in general. The name of the podcast is No Right, No Wrong. As I said earlier, my name is CT. For anyone that doesn't know, podcast is No Right, No Wrong. The whole idea is to have conversations without actually necessarily trying to be right or proving someone else wrong. We can speak up our opinions, however controversial, without actually, for me personally at least, not having the necessary need to be right in the conversation. Even though I might have some really strong opinions and stuff, I still think in general when we speak about things we don't fully know about, we're just giving our opinions, what we believe in. But I can't say for sure that it would work for everybody or it is accurate for everybody and stuff like that. So that's the whole purpose of the show. I specifically don't have any specific thing I'm pushing for the show. It's going to be an avenue to learn and also an avenue to have fun. So there are going to be a lot of things said, a lot of them serious, a lot of them for entertainment value, have some fun with it, and we go from there. Josh, you've been on this podcast the last couple of years. There are a lot of things that I tried doing on it. What would you say in your couple times we were on the audio podcast? We talked about two things, which if you go on my Spotify or my page for No Right No Wrong on either any of the audio podcast platforms, you will still find those. We talked about two things when you were here. One was cancel culture, and the other was about music. Obviously, I know you're an artist, so you obviously love music. So we did talk about that. What would you say about your experience on the podcast, or exactly what I'm trying to do? Because I touched on a lot of things, but it's gonna be a little bit more streamlined now that it's in video form. Now that it's in the video form.
Yeah, the one I remember well was the conversation about music. The cancel culture, I think that was way back.
That's been a minute. Yeah,
it's been a minute. So I don't really have strong memory. Remember much about that. But with the music, it was good because also because that's what I'm into, and it was a good conversation. It's nice now to upgrade from just audio, to a video and have like a whole proper.
That's also an interesting thing because I would say this is my first real time opening myself to a lot of video content, so that would be interesting too to know. But if you want to do something, you gotta actually get into it. So
right, exactly.
I think that's gonna be interesting as well as we go through that. But as you said, it's gonna be interesting going through the video content.
It's a whole different experience, to that, because it's now we getting to have more. I would say
people can see our face.
Yeah, people can see our face. You get to see the person behind the voice and the expression as well, not just the sound or the tone of the voice.
Oh yeah,
so everything is all communication, right? We're picking all the little details and
so now you can judge me by seeing my facial reactions and my opinions, that as well. But it's interesting. The other thing, or rather the main thing I wanted to talk about in this first episode would be expectations. First, as I said about what I expect for the podcast, but I also want to broadly talk about expectations because I think it's a very interesting thing, right? When you hear the word expectations, just give me an idea what comes to your mind. What are you thinking about?
Well, I'll talk about when I first came here in this scene, right? I had an expectation.
Okay, we started there, right? Okay,
yeah. I knew that this was going to be a video, set up, but what I had in mind was quite different from what I'm actually, seeing or what I saw here. So in terms of expectation, it was just so I didn't think it would be like us two sitting together like this. The way I envisioned it was more like on a table.
Oh, okay.
Right?
It's short term. Okay, let's go.
It was like on a table type of thing, and you're one side of the table and I'm on the other side of the table. So it's like, despite you have the expectations, or like, I didn't think, let's say for like the lighting and the cameras and the background and all of that, right? So even though I just had an idea of it, coming here and seeing all the different parts and the details of it just, allowed me to appreciate the whole setup and the whole step up better, and I would say in that case, it surpassed my expectation. So
yes,
that's
what you just said. I'm going to make a quick point about it as we start this whole podcast. I beg, please have zero expectations of me. Zero. There's nothing. Maybe you'll be impressed if you have zero expectations of me. But what you said is interesting because that goes to a point of mine that I have about expectations. I think a lot of how people feel sometimes has a lot to do with the expectations that they have, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to say people will ever stop having expectations, but we need to somehow understand and relate to our expectations, how we actually feel about something. Because what you said was interesting, right? You had this different type of expectation, and for some, maybe it surpassed it for what you were thinking. But I think that's also interesting in terms of the people that we feel disappointed in sometimes because we have way too high of an expectation of themselves. Should we have no expectation of people? Probably not. Please, that's my word. Please, I'm begging of you, have zero expectations of me. Please, I am asking. I know that people will probably not, but if you have zero expectations or no expectations or little expectations, maybe you'll be impressed. Maybe 1 or 2 times you said, I tried. I'm a human being. But yes, I think it's always very important to take a look at that. But you said that about expectations. Outside of what you saw here today, what comes into your mind about scenarios that you would think about expectations?
The first thing that comes to mind right now is the event that I just had.
Okay. Well, first of all, since you're just talking about the event, we're not just going to gloss over that, right? We're going to talk about it. Congratulations. You had...
Thank you.
Is that an album? Is that an album? Please. You called it an album. Yeah, I even posted it as an album. That's an extended playlist.
An extended
EP.
play album.
No, I don't call it album. It was a 5-track something.
Yeah.
It was a 5-track... It was a 5-track song. I remember looking at it as album, and when I went to listen to it, it was a 5-track. I'm like, where is the many songs?
No, by definition.
And there were no other songs, but
Yeah,
yes, he called it. I called it album too, but it's not album.
No,
it's extended something. But yes. And then also, that's mine. And then also there was a whole concert to celebrate that.
Yes,
but go ahead.
Yes. So this is all, another part to the expectation. You had the expectation that it was going to be Tenitra.
They have catch me. Okay.
I mean, it's okay. By definition, anything more than 3 songs is an album.
I need to go and sing an album. I said sing, then
it's just that
create
whether
an album.
it's a
only
long
3. That's the condition for album. And people are doing
if it's 4 and above, it's an album. But
people actually do 20 tracks when they only need to do 3.
No, if it's 4.
4.
Yeah, if it's 4, it's an album.
If it's 4, it's an album. Why are people doing 20? I will soon do my own album. No joke, people. No joke at all. Okay,
that's why the classifications: long play and this long play albums are like long. The extended play is just
music class.
Past single. Anything past single is extended play. But anyways,
okay, go ahead.
The concerts that happened. I had the plan to do that probably early this year. Actually, early this year, maybe February, just a random day. I had a different album that I wanted to release, wanted to work on, but I figured that was going to take me a lot of time, probably close to a year to make the whole thing. And I just wanted to be active. So I figured that I had something else on the side. I was like, okay, let me finish this up. This is a plan. And I get this done, start a concert and start doing everything else that I need to do as far as music goes. But with the concerts, I made deliberate efforts to not, I wouldn't say set expectations, I set targets.
Okay.
Right? But in terms of expectations per se, I detached myself from it.
So you're saying that in terms of expectations, you intentionally, before you started, tried not to make many expectations, or try not to create as much expectations going into that concert.
Yes. Okay. So it's just like a mental, it's mental type work per se. It's like there's a kind of a correlation between just like you said, expectations and disappointments, right? So one way to avoid disappointments is to detach yourself from expectations, from the outcome of whatever efforts or whatever things that you're doing. It's like, what you need to do, set the targets and be diligent with what you need to do, and just let what will be. Because expectations are out of your control. or what will happen to a certain extent can be out of your control, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
a lot of times, just dealing with people, and from my own experiences before, in the past, you find that people get put down, upset because whatever they had in mind did not just quite go as planned.
Yeah.
When in reality, a lot of the things are not really within their control. They just don't know.
Yeah.
Right? But when you just approach any endeavor with that mentality, it helps you manage your own space of how you deal with it. So that would be my own like sense of expectation per se. Okay, let's say the venue was had a capacity of 200 people.
Yeah.
Right? My target was minimum 50.
Yeah.
Right? I want to at least have 50 people a quarter and just go from there. So it's like if it went below 50, I just treated it, I would just consider it, I didn't meet the targets. Okay, fine. What next can I do to improve, right? But as far as this words specifically expectations go, it's like I don't like, and this is just personally, I don't like to just have it and say, oh, by so day, this is what I expect. Because what if it doesn't happen? Do you have a backup plan? Do you this is how as broad as it can go? But that's just the first thing. It was for that concept.
Oh yeah, I think that's interesting. Do you have an idea what percentage of that auditorium actually was filled for your concert?
Percentage, I would say probably 60-70%.
60-70%?
No, not 70%. Like percentage.
Like the percentage of people that actually showed relative to 200 capacity.
It would be around. It was over the target 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty fun concert for me too. No, it's interesting, right? Because I got it here, right? Like basically, I think when we talk about expectations, I also wanted to point out what is interesting to me, right? And the thing with expectation, and I'm gonna get your opinion on this too, is there is a lot of times people set expectations about the future. Mm-hmm. I think that is a very interesting concept to me because I absolutely believe that no one knows the future. No human being knows the future.
Right.
And I'm gonna keep the other factors that might know the future outside of this conversation, right? But yes, I'm gonna talk about human beings first. Like nobody knows the future. It's crazy to me how so many people actually hold on so tight to future expectations, get extremely disappointed with it. It's important to set targets, as you said, right? And that might lead to expectations, but it's also understanding that when you're talking about the future, there are way too many variables, and really, genuinely, we gotta wait and see, right? And see what goes on. So when it comes to expectation, one thing I really wanted to talk about, there are two parts of the conversation for expectation that is very interesting to me. The people that believe someone that tells them they know the future, and the people that actually go out there and portray the idea like they know the future. I am yet to see anybody that predicted the future exactly with specifics and it came to pass. And yes, I am specifically talking about some specific kind of people. Yes. Corporate institutions, I guarantee you your satisfaction. No, you cannot guarantee me my satisfaction in the future. None of you can guarantee me my satisfaction. I'm going to love you forever. You do not know that.
You do not know that.
Yes, I'm talking to you that said it 2 days ago. Yes, I mean you. Prophets. Yes, I also said that. But interesting enough, yes, people can make predictions, people can have faith, people can work to targets about the future. But I think, and it's interesting because I wanted to ask you, bringing up this conversation, right? The interesting part about it, outside of how we feel and all that, do you actually see, Do you actually, like, from your own perspective, your opinion, because my opinion, I basically just said it a few minutes ago, but do you think anybody knows the future? Have you seen any evidence of someone that actually knew the future for any reason? Like, when they were in the present, they could predict the future spot on because they knew it. They knew exactly what is going to happen.
Well, the way I've always thought of it is, when you're talking about the future and you want to make predictions, that's one thing. If you claim that you've seen the future, just like you were talking, just like the examples that you gave, prophets. In my honest opinion, I would say that there's probably only one occasion that I may have been convinced that, okay, maybe this is true, this is real, but in hindsight, so sometimes I retrospect and I try to figure it out. It's like, is this really real, or did this person get some information somewhere that I don't know about that's, loose, and just put one and two together and just try to like sell me on the idea that they saw something. But anyways, overall, I would say that that's not the case. I don't really believe that anybody knows the future, because the way I think of the future, there are people, this is like a separate, not separate really. You've heard this saying that some people use or say that we live in a simulation, right?
Yeah, that was just the different space and time and stuff.
Yeah. So I just want to give like a small breakdown of an idea of simulation that I just like an understanding that I have. Let's say this is at this point in time right now, this is day 0, yeah, and you want to predict where I'm going to be on day 3. Okay, what are all the variables that decide or define where I will be on day 3 at a specific time? One thing you can consider is my employment, right? If I'm working, if I have a full-time job and I have a commitment to wake up 9 o'clock, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and this is Monday, you can predict that on Friday, I will be there at 2 p.m., right? You plug in you use my employment as one variable to predict where I will be. Just like, okay, you can call that this minor, just like a small scale prediction, small scale, simulation. But outside of my employment, there's, my personal life, there's my music career, for example, or other things. If somebody calls me and says, oh, by the way, there's a major soccer game going on Friday, do you want to come? I might just call in sick.
But that means you couldn't 100% say you were going to be there by 2 p.m., right? Because the truth is something could come up.
Yeah.
Sometimes out of your control too.
Right, exactly. Right? Sometimes out of your control. So, I would say that, yeah, we can, based off what we know, based off, as much information as we can possibly gather that define our life at a particular time, we can use that to make some sort of prediction, with certain limitations as well, time-wise. Okay, it's easier 1 week to make a prediction, 10 years. The longer the time, the harder it is to predict or try to decide or make expectations of what will be in the future. Now, this is just going off my life alone. And I was just giving the example of where I would be, like predicting my location at a specific time. But can you predict my career in 10 years? What are all the variables that decide, what my career will be in 10 years? Random. There's so much that it's and the more you stack them up, the more you stack all the variables that that you can plug in to predict. Maybe it's your life, your career, how many kids you have, your marital status, whatever it is you're trying to predict. The more variables you stack up, the more explosive becomes an explosive outcome. It's like, what is it? Probability, as we learn.
Yeah.
So that's it. It just becomes harder. So overall, in life like that, it's just Nobody knows. That's pretty much.
It's interesting I bring up this topic, right? And I'm very okay with people disagreeing with me, right? But there is also, it's interesting. I want to ask something. In your opinion, in my opinion, this is actually a dilemma that I have, right?
Yeah.
This is an actual dilemma that I have. Do you think in situations where people believe 100%, like feel 100% certain about an event or something they believe about the future or that would happen for them, for somebody else, whatever, do you feel like, or do you think that either these people know that 100% that is not guaranteed and they just want to believe it, right? Or it's an interesting question, because I am like, are they just ignorant of the fact? Okay, yes. Are they ignorant of the fact that nothing is 100% guaranteed of the future? Or they genuinely believe it
So I had a conversation with my dad a long time ago. This was probably in 2017, and we were just talking about religion. And I was like, yeah, there are some people who don't believe in anything. And my dad said it's a lie. And he said
they believe in themselves.
So he said everybody believes in something.
Yeah.
And my dad is science based. He's not an art person. He doesn't do social sciences and stuff. He's into engineering, electrical, but this is something that he knew and he understood it firmly, right? Now, just like 5 months ago, I came across a concept that apparently is taught to psychology students and stuff in schools, that the same theory that humans, at the core of what we are, the foundation of our identity, we need to believe in something. We need a belief system to drive us, to just keep going in life. So people figure out their belief system one way or the other. And there are people who crowd towards a certain belief system and form something around it. Maybe it's a religion, maybe it's whatever
Politics,
it is, politics,
whatever.
right? Now, and that's separate. So for that specifically, I wouldn't say that people just are ignorant. Maybe there's a certain level of ignorance to it, but people would rather ignore facts and stick to a belief system, regardless of what the facts are saying. There are people who want to believe that the earth is flat, regardless of what you tell them. They don't care.
Yeah.
The earth is flat. As was the video I was watching, they went through hoops. They went through a lot to try and disprove that the earth is flat. And one very important experiment that they did, just shocked them in their face. It's like, wow, it actually is round. But they still didn't believe it. They chose not to believe. they rather believe that they made a mistake in their process. So this is how some humans can be, and which is why it's important to question the belief systems at times. To wonder how beneficial is it for you in the long run, because you need to switch it up.
Yeah, I actually think if your belief system works, absolutely, who is challenging that to you? And a lot of people actually would, they have the right to defend, right? And to support, believe what actually works for them. The only reason I add that is it's not just a belief thing, right? I see in everything. I'm going to use something more, the more sensitive topics like politics, love, religion, and all stuff like that. But what about things like finance, for example? Right. And I want to bring that example because I was just thinking about it the other day, right?
Yeah, actually talk about that finance, lottery. Now, based off probability math, right? Every time you play the lottery, your chances or your odds are the same.
Every single time.
It's the same. But there are people that actually believe that it gets better the more they play it.
Because they chose a different number. All their numbers about to come.
Right. They think that, okay, I chose this. Yeah, exactly. I chose a different number now. No, it's the exact same odds every single time. So you're just stuck.
So
Yeah,
mine is, even when this kind of fact is brought to them, are they just choosing to ignore it, or they genuinely think or hope so much that they are actually right?
That's a hard question to answer. I would say that they've not found a reason to challenge their thought process.
Why? Because they genuinely want to believe that. Is it the need for hope?
Yeah, probably a need for hope. That's really, what I can think of, because most people would get to a point where at some point in their life, they're like, oh, is this really working? And some people just never do, I guess. Probably.
Yeah. The interesting part that also I wanted to bring up in the finance, and yes, I'm Nigerian, by the way, so might be like, oh, why are you talking about that? But for real, like in cases of investments, right? And when people make investments, whether it's starting a new business or taking a new risk or making an investment, there's so much of, if it doesn't go well, I was made to believe that this should work. And I'm going to use popular fraudsters like Bernie Madoff and top investments and all these scams that are out there with finance, right? That is up there. Obviously, those things are really bad, because I also think one thing I also notice is, whether it's in that world or most worlds, a lot of people actually sell a guarantee for the future, like 5% return on investment guarantee. So in my opinion, yes, obviously that is also, to me, that is just as ridiculous. Because when I see that, I know for a fact you can't guarantee me any returns, like for sure, right? There's an element of risk, or going up and down markets, whatever you're doing, right? You're doing anything, most times you can't guarantee the future. You don't know what's going to happen in the sector or what's going to happen, right? The pandemic showed us all that, right? I don't think many people were expecting the pandemic to come through, but that actually happened. But it still goes back to that point where you see two sets of people, in my opinion, that expectations kind of, I'm like, someone is telling you that they're going to guarantee you returns, for example, or they're going to guarantee you money maybe that you have no idea where it came from, the Nigerian prince, right?
Right.
And some people genuinely believe it, go to court for it, and actually tell you that they actually thought they were going to get that money for sure if anything goes, no matter if anything goes wrong or whatever. And the argument is the person told them that it was guaranteed. So the question to me, as I said, is, did they genuinely believe that it was guaranteed, or they wanted to believe it and hold somebody else responsible? And also on the other side, when people actually seriously document and guarantee people stuff like that for the future, do they just think the people are fools?
There are two words that come to mind when I hear that: desperation and greed.
Desperation and greed. Okay, go ahead.
For a scammer, one of the easiest targets are desperate people. Even if, let's consider housing, for example, right? I live in this town and I want to move to another city, and I'm going online searching, and I need a place.
Yeah.
Right? Quickly.
You can stay in a hotel for a month though, but
exactly. The price. Yeah. So immediately I have that desperate need for something. It clouds my judgment, and I become easy target for scammers. Now, greed is where, give me $5,000 and to sort myself out, and I'll pay you $500,000 from my father's.
The Nigerian prince, guys, he's not real.
Right? So now that's greed. Why? You really think? Do you if that's the part where
it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Quick 5,000 to
quick
5 million, right?
5 million. Yeah, that's
So there's greed. You said greed, but you said desperation too.
Yeah.
Is it that the person scamming or being scammed? Would you consider both of them desperate? Because I think
I'd say that for a scammer, being desperate is bad business for you. You have to be patient if you're scamming.
If you're the one scamming. But for the person being scammed, the target is a desperate person.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so the scammer just basically has found a loophole in human psychology to actually do them dirty. Yeah, but I think it's interesting, and why I'm bringing this up is, in as much as the scammer is, we should also, my point is, I'm actually curious, is it ignorance or it's intentional? Has many of these people actually heard it, or they ignored it and they truly believe that someone can guarantee them something in the future for sure, and they hold on to it? As you said, right? High expectations lead to big high disappointments, right? Low expectations leads to really low disappointment. So I think that's interesting, and I brought that up. For me, that's something that's going to come up a lot in conversations I have. Like, a lot of things are predictions. You're making the best decision possible. You're going through the variables. You're adding up what you know. You're taking information from the past history, right? Looking at what's currently happened, and you're trying to predict what's going to happen in the future. Predict. You give yourself a better chance. But I am very curious to continue a conversation or have more conversations about people that might disagree with me about anything about the future being 100% guaranteed, right? I am curious to see the points that are being made for 100% guarantees in the future. You make the best possible decisions. You give yourself the best chance to get what you want, right? But
I mean,
are you assured or guaranteed to get it? It's an interesting topic,
right? And I know that even I'm going to speak from like the math perspective. I'm taking math courses in school. When you're doing statistics and probability, there's something called your confidence level.
You know what's crazy?
It's never 100.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about stats is that it's not a compulsory subject in school. But go ahead, yeah.
Should be. I argue that
needs to be.
I would argue that. So, but when it's predictive, it's probability. It's making predictions, and you take information from what you're doing, past information, and you have a system, and you plug in and you try to predict, and it is never 100%. So if the math
can't be 100%
it can't be. I'll speak from a math perspective, which is what I have a strong background in, specifically statistics, probability, making predictions, something called confidence level, confidence interval.
Confidence level and confidence interval?
Yeah. Just it's been a long time, so my memory of the actual terms.
I'm just trying to clarify, just so that
but just short-term confidence, right? Yeah. It's never 100% because you take data from your history or what you recorded, and you have a system that's defined maybe with a function, and you're just trying to make predictions of what it would be at a certain time or with different values. It's never 100% confidence.
It can be.
It cannot be.
It can be, guys.
Math is overall just representing anything that you try to focus on. If they say, okay, you want to focus on how is it that this table stands? There's a math to it, right? Based on gravity, whatever. Now, everything that we do in our real world can be represented with math. And if the math is telling you that confidence predictions can never be 100%,
well, why I said to you, Josh, I don't believe in math.
Why is that?
Because it's not the same math that I know.
What do you mean?
Well, that's an argument some people would make. They will be like, somebody taught you the math, but I have my own math, and my math tells me that I can know 100% what it is. So, no, I'm just speaking from the other side. I'm like, Josh, why would you tell me that the math is certain or is for sure?
You had me there in the first half.
Why would you have me there? But I know my own math.
Yeah.
And I am my own math research person, and my math tells me that for 100% certain that
right. You see, and that's
but I'm just saying, obviously. I don't think so, but
right. So now that even brings me to a different point. It's like, oh, you have your math, right? Okay. Who else has walked through that math with you? Because a big part of science, math.
Well, all the people that actually walk through that math that you think, they all don't know what they're saying.
There you go. There you go. There you
It's
go.
interesting,
Yeah.
right? Because the truth is, we all have opinions, we have our points, right? If the person is stuck with it, who are you,
Who are you?
really?
Right.
If their life still works great for it. So that's why I'm just bringing up these scenarios because, as you said earlier, right? Even though I've done science and whatever, right? It means that I have faith or confidence in someone else that told me that the science was correct and gave me evidence for it. That doesn't mean that science is 100% correct all the time. So some people will come with that argument, right? And they're absolutely right. So they'll tell you, why should I now believe the scientist or the mathematician when everything is not 100% all the time, right? Yeah.
There's a point, that I just actually remembered. There's something that happened at an old workplace. Somebody got scammed for about close to $20,000. No, not 20. About $6,000 by calling the company and emails and them telling them, oh, send this money and we'll send you this, and none of that happened. And I was just speaking with the client then, and I put them on, I was on a call, put them on hold, and I spoke with a supervisor close by, and they were like, yeah, anybody that gets scammed for that much deserves it. And it was just like, it's just a throwaway statement, right? But what I took,
some people would not like that.
yeah. No,
some people would not like that. To be like, okay, but no, go ahead.
Just based off my own interpretation of that is, regardless of the facts that you present, regardless of the extent that you go into detail to prove or show that something works, nothing is absolute, right?
Absolutely,
nothing is absolute as well. That also applies to human beings. There will always be people that will not believe it.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Regardless
that's fine,
of
right?
how accurate it is, regardless of what you tell them, regardless of everything. If you tell them, oh, you see, you know what, in confidence is not 100%, can never be. There'll always be somebody that says it is. I know it. I can prove it, right? Gravity. You throw this thing down and it falls. They argued gravity for God knows how long.
Somebody argued gravity.
No, gravity. I
wasn't born then. Actually.
Yeah, no, like
now
it's
like fact.
Yeah, now gravity is facts, right? But it used to be an argument.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I want to see that Discord board.
There was an argument that if you throw two objects, regardless of their weights, they're going to fall down at the exact same time. It used to be an argument.
Oh wait. Somebody argued that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be an argument, and they had to actually. I was reading this. I don't remember the details, but they actually had to go to like a tower and drop objects.
They will still say, I don't believe it. Now you added that. That's not the right way to.
Exactly. So regardless of what you do, there always be people.
Interestingly, if I put like a bird feather at the top of a tower and put a stone, they're going to arrive on the ground at the same time.
Yeah, they will.
What about considering like the wind?
Yeah. So except you consider the wind and all of that stuff, if you take that away, they will fall at the exact same
zero
time.
Gravity effect. Oh, maybe somebody now gets it. Who knows? Yeah. But
right.
no, it's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Some people don't understand the zero gravity part because you're like, no, I've tried it before, but there was wind. But yeah, if there is zero gravity, they'll probably fall at the same time. But with other factors and variables, then okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's this verse that I like to quote every now and then because I have a Christian background. It's a parable of, I don't remember what it's called, but anyways, it's like you drop a seed. Some are going to fall on the rock.
Some are going to fall on the soil.
Some are going to fall. If it falls on the rock, it's just going to wither away because it's a rock. There's nothing that can happen to it, and they're going to be rocks. Yep. So, and those people, unfortunately, and it's not just human beings, right? It happens in all life forms, even plants, right? In the forest, there are trees that just choose not to communicate with other trees. They want to isolate. They want to do themselves. Oh, I know it better. When the storm comes, when the locusts come and they're not signaled to protect themselves or release chemicals to steal them, they are the ones.
Are you saying even plants have stubborn people?
Yeah.
Are you telling me plants also be like, I want to work with my neighbors?
Yep.
Are you telling me plants also isolate themselves?
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not even just human beings, right? nothing is absolute. They're always going to be. There's always going to be that people like that. So
no.
yeah.
I understand that, and for me, this is more to the people that might be ignorant of the fact or maybe haven't heard it. And my thing is, look at your life very clearly. At what point were you able to, over a long period of time, consistently predict what happened to you in the future and it picked up that way, especially considering all the other variables most times in your conditions, which sometimes could be isolating yourself, you know what I mean? But I think it's interesting, and that's what I mean, right? Like when I talk about, is it actually ignorance? It's a good question for me. And if anyone actually disagrees with me with that, I am curious to see the points that you have. If you're not ignorant of it, but you actually just think, yes, you can be 100% certain of something. And some people would give you things we cannot prove, obviously, like spirits and belief and a higher power and a lot of that. And that's fine and true, but I'm yet to also see any of those predictions that are very specific with time and dates. They usually are very vague and open-ended and long period of time and really smart, wise predictions, right? A lot of the time. But I think it's interesting because I think a lot of people take it to mind, because people would not be as disappointed as they usually are, as frustrated, if they didn't actually genuinely expect a different result. Right. So that has to be something, and we all go through it, right? You make your plans, you walk towards something, and something very random comes in between it, and you're very frustrated, you're very disappointed, because part of your plan was it was going to happen like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of that, like up until starting at, like, let's say the correlation would be grade.
Which one?
7-8.
7-8.
Just 2.
JS2.
No, JS3. JS3. Starting at JS3.
JS3, grade 8 Canada, maybe.
Grade 9, I think. Yeah, but anyways, that's when I really picked up well on math, right? So from there until SS3, which is Canada's grade 12, I've been really good at math. Now I took the WAEC. West African
exam.
Exam. Math. My expectation, A. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Because you were so good at it, right?
There's nothing you tell me, A. When my result came out, B. I was like, nah, this is not my result.
Go and find me my actual results, please.
Get my paper for me.
I'll be like, who took my paper?
Who marked this thing? Let me sit down with the person. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And it threw me off. Like, I was so disappointed. Like, there are people that would be like, oh man, that's a really good result.
This is a really good score.
But I was so disappointed for like over a week. It's like, why? It made no sense. But who knows? Who knows what happened that day? Who knows? Maybe I was calculating in radians instead of.
That's actually a thing. Calculating your whole thing in radians instead of degrees,
right? Who knows?
I know this. Everybody will get that.
Everybody.
Your answer is so different from what it should be,
right? So who knows? Random things happen, and in life, this is my own belief system, right? If you don't make arrangements for miscellaneous things, you're going to get screwed.
You're going to get very disappointed.
Get really disappointed.
Frustrated, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even say disappointed, right? Because I'll say screwed.
Okay.
Because if you make arrangements for miscellaneous events, you'll still be disappointed, but you wouldn't be emotionally damaged, distraught from the event, right? They'd be like, well, that didn't quite happen as I thought it would, or I wished it would. Okay, whatever. What's the plan B? What's the backup? What's your alternative? And regardless of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, you have to keep that in mind, because there's one thing that's certain to happen in the future. Change. Oh, I was not going to say change. You know what I was going to say?
What were you going to say?
Shit.
Oh, shit happens. In the future too.
Shit happens. Yeah, I can guarantee you that in the future. That's a prediction I can make for you. In the future, City.
I would say change, but shit happens.
Change. Yeah. I mean, shit is a. Are you gonna like filter these words.
No.
The podcast. Okay. I'll say that shit is the outcome of change. It's
Are you saying the result
the
change?
results. Yeah, the result
To
of
result to
change.
change and expectations.
Expectations.
When you mix change and
And then
expectation,
then you get shit. So that's my definition of
No, that's
of that,
interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. Like seriously, I just wanted to start this off. I know the main reason I brought this up is this is also the first episode of video form content for No Right, No Wrong. So I just wanted to start with expectations, and I just wanted to get through it, right? Hopefully, this turns out to be what I'm hoping for it to be, but
I
shit
know.
happens. Anyway, thank you so much for showing up.
Yeah,
I really do
you're
appreciate
welcome.
this. We're going to be having a lot of this. This is just the beginning of something really good. Shit happens in the future, but good shit also happens.
Yes, exactly. Exactly,
Yes.
right? That's what they call luck.
Well,
you know?
not really luck though. As
What
you
would you
said,
say?
good prediction sometimes, doing the right things, like in terms of like getting ready, right? I think you brought it up, so I might just as well just go into it. I think luck is basically when like preparation meets opportunity. I think I've heard that people say that, right? But even for the lottery winner, they gotta buy a ticket. I haven't
Right.
bought a ticket, guys. I haven't won a lottery yet,
yeah.
but I have no chance of winning the lottery if I don't buy a ticket.
I actually see
Yeah.
that differently.
Why? Why you think? Tell me.
Because luck is a positive side of change, that can
change?
benefit you. Say, for example, COVID. There are people who benefited heavily from COVID.
But do you know what I say to that?
What?
They were prepared. Very prepared.
Well,
I think that's the difference. Let's say, for example, give an example of someone that benefited.
Mask and sanitizer companies.
They were already producing it.
Right, exactly.
They were
And
prepared.
then an
They had
event
the tools.
happened
And then an event
that it wasn't in their control.
but they're prepared.
Yeah.
Do you know what also happened during the pandemic with
What?
people that produce mask and hand sanitizers?
Yep.
Right? A lot of people tried to go into the industry
At that
the
time.
moment COVID happened. The difference with those people, they were not prepared. The people that already had the factories going, they might not have been making big profits, but they were ready for unexpected
Good
stuff.
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
why I look at it as being prepared. You're doing something. The one that is not doing anything would not be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity.
No,
Yeah.
the reason I see it different, I think this is just like terminology differences here when we're talking about right now. Yes, preparation is absolutely necessary.
Go buy your lottery ticket.
Now,
No, I'm not
however, you can be prepared and the luck or the events would not favor you at all.
True.
You get so
True.
that's why I would call an event that favors you luck. An event that doesn't favor you, shit happens.
You think?
That's just like how I.
So you're saying
see it.
preparation with opportunity that favors you is luck? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if it's
And then
because
preparation with an opportunity or an event that does not favor you, in this case, is kind of like, that happened, like shit happens, right?
yeah, that's the way I see
Okay.
it. Because
That's
I mean,
an angle to look at it.
I mean, I understand that many people are not going to see it that way because opportunities. Well, the reason I see it that way because opportunities are not in your control, right? Those are events that you just look out for and you capitalize on them when they come. Now, the alternative to waiting for opportunity is to actually engineer it.
To create opportunity. What do you mean by engineering opportunity?
Say for example, I have a song right now that I want to release, right? And my target is that this song reaches 10 million people, right? I can just keep putting out music for maybe indefinitely for 10 years, 20 years, and then something will happen and then one of those songs will reach 10 million people. However, an alternative would be to actually engineer the process, of getting that song to reach 10 million people, whether it's by, sending it to radio stations or finding companies or YouTubers that want to use my song for their content, and making deliberate actions to actually help the song reach the 10 million people, which is my target. Alternatively, I can just look for an opportunity or wait and hope for something. So that's the reason that I consider that luck. If it's not something that you're actively putting effort to actually, to engineer, I'll use the word engineer again, then I would say you're lucky.
it's opportunity, but you're lucky. Another example would be playing as a striker in football. A big part of your work is to look out for chances, right? And take them. Alternatively, there are players who would say, screw that, like Rooney, like Messi. I'm going to go in deep and work the channel and finish, right? So those are two different approaches that you can take with that. So that's the reason I would just say, but on second thoughts,
I'm just waiting for you to finish.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
I wanted to get to your point. The thing is, for the first person that put out the music, they put out the music, they did the music, and they put it on a platform. They put it out there for people to access it. So they might be hoping, but they've done something. Okay. Right? So that's the preparation. They might not have done it. They might not know when it's going to happen, but they've done something. It's like watering the soil for the seeds. Not all the seeds will germinate, right? But you've done something to help whichever seed is able to germinate, and sometimes it's a big tree. You know what I mean? That actually comes out of that watering. But the other person, literally, instead of watering just one end, plants more seeds, waters more. You're increasing your chances for a big tree to come up, but it doesn't mean that there was no preparation or whatever. So maybe you can speed up the process, whatever. But I really think a lot of times luck is a real word, because as you said, it's the fact that something big came out of like something like an effort, right? But it might not be like this big effort for the big reward, right? But I also think a lot of time it is used to discredit people that actually take action. I think sometimes it's used in that way. I'm always like, yes, they had big rewards for doing something, but they are doing something. So I think, and that's the point really I was making with that.
I think that, our understanding of, luck are very similar. It's just how we're expressing it.
Probably.
Right.
And that's why we're having the conversation, right?
And that being said, say I want to make a reference. This guy now, Jack Harlow, who just out of the blue had something going for him where it's like everything just started to pop, right? I saw a post on social media the other day, and it's people just commenting, this is what happens when you're an industry plant, blah, 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 blah. It's because of his skin color. I'm like, it's literally his catalog and his history is literally right there for you to go track and see what's going on, right?
Some people consider him lucky, right?
Yeah, some people consider him lucky.
But that's the thing. It's used to...
But I also really, value your point is that you can improve your chances of being lucky. You can improve your chances of being lucky by taking action.
Taking some necessary actions compared to somebody that might, in your opinion, do the minimum because you don't know how long it took them to do the one they did.
Right.
In your opinion, did the minimum but got a big reward. So you're like, I'm doing big things. Why am I not getting big rewards?
Right.
But the problem too is some people do big things but not the necessary big things.
Right.
And the other person might have done with minimal effort. It's working smart and not hard, not all the time, right? Yeah. And they're getting the big reward. So I think it's an interesting thing. But yes. And to wrap it up, I actually just wanted to end it with like a random question. Not part of what we're discussing, but I just wanted to ask you something random.
Okay.
So I wanted to find out, very random, if you had to give up one, and you have to, between your eyesight or your listening, your ear, like sound, which one would you rather live with, or which one would you give up? Like you had to give up one, you can't have both of them, and why?
Oh boy.
You have to give up one, so you have to tell me why one is more important to you and the other one you can give it up. So tough dilemma questions, but you gotta give up one.
Okay, first of all, let me even think. Like without
so eyesight and hearing, you gotta give up one. Which one would you rather have to give up the other one?
I would say that I would give up my eyesight.
You give up your eyesight for hearing? Okay, let's go. Give me the reason why. Yeah?
I consider myself in more danger without my hearing than I am without my eyes.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Let's say, for
Yeah.
example, I'm walking, down the road, or crossing the road, and there is a fast car in my blind spot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucked.
Hmm.
If I had ears, I'd hear that. You get?
I don't know if that fucked one is gonna go in there, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you can censor that.
Yeah, you can go in there.
But that's one example of lightning. I mean, lightning looks beautiful without the sound, but with the sound, you know what it is.
So for you, it's a safety thing. You feel like you can hear danger better than you can actually see it.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would say that, in terms of like just day-to-day living, things that I would consider things that are dangerous would be louder, would be heavily sound-based, I would say.
Okay. I didn't really know what to expect with that question, and I think I'm going to be asking it a lot because I'm very curious as to the reasons people would give, but that was interesting actually. But I thought it was a random question. But I can totally see good points for both, like sight and hearing. But I thought I wanted to find out like why someone would pick one over the other. Survival thing, that's interesting. Anyway, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. That was a good random question too. And for everyone listening and watching, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, like, subscribe, and click the notification button, and also follow on all social media pages. I'm going to conclude. Thank you so much for coming on this first episode. I really do appreciate it. I want to thank everybody that is watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, click notifications wherever you're watching this. Let's get this going. It's going to be a fun time. And as I said earlier when we started, please, no expectations, please. Zero. You might just get impressed. Thank you so much, man, for coming.
Yes,
This is No Right, No Wrong, and my name is CT. Also, before I completely sign off, right, I'm gonna give a shout out. Here is JTK. Descriptions will be on most of the links to this video, right? His album, EP. His extended playlist or extended album or extended songs. I cannot in good faith call that an album. I'm sorry. Because I should have one. So cannot in good faith do that. But his 5-track something is out there. It's called Hello World. It's dope.
Hello World.
Yes. Hello World, right?
Yes.
So it's dope. Go out, check it out. It's interesting conversations. We're just getting started. Let's go get it and see y'all. Don't forget, like, subscribe.
Yes.
I know they shame too much to talk on like, subscribe. Thank you.